Hello and welcome to another creepy and true tale from the great city of New Orleans, and the tale of the werewolf of City Park. Now, this was told to me by a gentleman who I will call Ike. I used to be Ike's caregiver. He was a former NOPD officer, retired after 30 years of service. So he had many tales to tell. One day, we're sitting, having some coffee, having very casual conversation, and out of the blue, he says to me, "You wouldn't believe some of the things that I've seen, things that I can't even explain." And I asked him to share with me that I would not be surprised at all by what he said. Now, Ike was a very serious man, very kind and very pleasant, but not the type that liked to joke or tell tall tales. So when he said something, it was the gospel truth. Ike explained to me that in the very early 70s, before I was even born, there was a series of incidents that occurred at the horse stables in City Park. NOPD's mounted patrol kept their horses there. Ike said one night, him and his partner got called to the stables by one of the caretakers. Before they could enter the stable, the caretaker told them, "Prepare yourselves for what you are about to see, because it is going to put a stain on your mind that you will never be able to get rid of." Ike said he'd seen a lot of things in his career, but what he saw that night will never be erased from his mind. They walked to the very last stable. And he said, before you could get to the end, you could smell the blood. He said the other horses were cowering in their stables, eyes wide and breathing heavy. They got to the last stable, and Ike said all they saw was guts and blood, the rear end of a horse, and a pair of legs. And there was a trail of blood that led out into the field next to the stables. They followed it, and there they found the other two legs, but no head. What on earth could slaughter a horse in such a manner? They all wondered. Certainly something that defined reasonable explanation. Ike said that their superiors told them to just keep it to themselves, clean up the mess and make it go away. And don't tell anybody. And that's exactly what they did. The caretaker, Ike, and his partner cleaned up. And they never uttered a word. Weeks later, they get another call. This time from a different caretaker. This time, a different horse has been slaughtered, but there was a witness. The caretaker who had called them to the scene the first time happened upon the scene when the second horse was being dragged into the field. And what he described, Ike said, was something from a nightmare, a movie, something not human. The caretaker told them that he heard the ruckus in the stable, and he grabbed his gun, and when he entered, he saw a figure that was about 8 feet tall, on human legs with human arms, but an elongated mouth with sharp teeth. And when he entered and he saw this creature, he just froze. And the creature turned and looked at him with eyes black as Mississippi mud. And he said it spoke to him in a human voice, and it told him to go away or you will be next. And it continued dragging the top part of the horse into the field. And the caretaker said he could do nothing but back away and run to his car, screaming. Now, Ike said, I know what you're probably thinking. He was a drinker. Maybe the caretaker was high. He said, if you would have seen the look on his face, the sheer terror, the fear in his voice, then you would know that what he saw was very real. They had to do something before this creature killed another horse, or even worse, a human being. Something that they would not be able to sweep under the rug. So they got a few trusted officers together, and they began to hunt to see where this werewolf could possibly be. And for weeks, they searched and stalked, but found nothing. So Ike said they decided that they would just wait. Just wait for another attack on another horse. And they would be ready to face whatever it was. But I promise you, my dear, you are not ready for the conclusion of this tale. Ike said their patience eventually paid off one very stormy night. They could hear all of the horses panicking, kicking at the stable doors, neighing as though something was near. And they watched as a very large, dark figure crept from beneath the trees and went to the stable doors. That is when they decided to make their move. They came heavily armed and ready to kill whatever this thing was. Guns at the ready. Ike said they went into the stable and caught the creature right as it was creeping up on another horse. And they started firing their weapons. And the creature turned and looked at them. And Ike said, for a moment, just for a moment, those eyes were human. And he recognized those eyes. He recognized those eyes. And Ike said, even though they were using all of their firepower, the creature didn't fall. but merely ran out the back doors of the stable into the darkness, into the rain, and they gave chase. But there was no way they could catch up to it. It disappeared into the night. They did their best to track it that night and the next day and the day after that. For about a week, they tried to track it, but to no avail. The creature was never found. Strangest part is, Ike said one of his sergeants mysteriously disappeared from duty. The very next day, they encountered the creature. And he was never seen or heard from again. Now, the other strange part of the story is I got a call about a year after that sergeant disappeared. They had cleaned out the sergeant's home, being that he had left everything behind. And in his yard, in a 50-gallon barrel, were two horse skulls. Draw your own conclusions. But the next time you're in City Park, especially if it's late, be aware that there may be werewolves afoot.